And I have to say, I was actually more moved to be there than I thought I would be. Um, there was some joking among media members before the game that nobody under 35 even cares about this record. It's a record like, no, it's not a record by heart. A lot of the baseball records you can name the number specifically by heart. This isn't one. And basketball has always been kind of weird with records. It has total records, per game records, separate playoff records. Then you have the 3-point shot starting to dominate the game 10 years ago, 15 years ago. That totally changed everything. It's like hard to know which records to count. But man, last night at crypto, I actually got it. Crypto. It was just joyous. It was joyous all around to be there. And the fact that he needed 36 points actually kind of helped because there was suspense. That's a lot of points. And he clearly wanted to break it. The first possession of the game, he came out like a freight train and missed, or maybe it was a turnover. I can't remember. And he hadn't scored for 4 or 5 minutes in the game. It's like, oh my God, is he not going to break it? Is he going to get close and not break it? Is he going to stop trying to break it because he realizes the odds are against him? He'll just do it in some anticlimactic way against the Bucks on Thursday, where he needs 9 points and everyone knows he's gonna break it. It was really cool. And when he got to 20 at halftime, you kind of sensed, okay, I think it's gonna happen. And it's just such an enormous number, 38,000, whatever it is. It's enormous. Like, think about that. It's just enormous. And I think the weight of that, the volume of it, everybody can appreciate that, just how much work and time and longevity and excellence that takes. Remember, it's not just longevity. He's like the 4th or 5th highest per game scoring average in the history of the league. He's going to get to 40,000 by himself, 40,000 points. He's the all-time leading scorer in the playoffs by a mile. And yeah, of course, there are more and longer playoff series now, with every series being a 7-game series than there were when some of the other great scorers played. Who cares? Do you really care? The dude made 8 straight finals, 8 straight. There are entire NBA franchises who have not made 1 finals. LeBron, as a traveling human franchise, made 8 in a row. By the time he got to 28, he went from 20 to 28 really fast in the third quarter. And that's when you knew, okay, there's no way he's leaving this on the table at 28 with like 20 minutes left in the game. A game, by the way, the Lakers needed to win. It didn't, and that's a whole different story. Everybody was standing after 28, even though there's no 8-point basket. Everybody was standing. Everybody had their phones out. And normally, I hate when people have their phones out at events like this, because you can just watch it with your eyes. Just watch it with your eyes. Let it wash over you. You'll see the tape of it in a million other places. Listen to it, experience it. And everyone's doing it just to post it on social media and be like, see, I was here. I'm very cool. I was at this cool thing. But I actually, it looked kind of cool. I was about 10 rows back in the press section, very close to the court. I luckily had a very good seat. And the shot happened right in front of me when he broke it. And I just kind of, everyone was standing. You couldn't see the game if you weren't standing. So the press, we were the last ones to stand. It's not really appropriate for us to stand. We're in people's way. We're there to cover the game, but we couldn't see the game. So everyone stands, and everyone had their phone out in the same pose, like the Statue of Liberty pose. And it was very cool to kind of just look around the crowd. Normally you see that in like a dark concert and the phones are all lit up. It was cool to see it in a lit up arena. It just looked kind of cool. And it was very fitting that the shot, with apologies to Thomas Bryant, who wanted the ball, poor guy, that the shot was a fadeaway jumper, a fadeaway 2-point shot. That's a scorer's shot. It's a Jordan shot. It's a Kobe shot. It's a Dirk shot. It's a shot that LeBron has worked really, really hard on. He's very, very proud of it. He's very well aware that when people have talked about who's the best pure scorer, not even in the history of the NBA, in LeBron's prime, who's the best pure scorer, he was in the second tier of that discussion behind Kobe, behind Durant, behind Carmelo Anthony, guys who were considered sort of more artistic scorers than he is. And he worked really, really hard on that shot. And I think one of the reasons he's not oftentimes put in that sort of pure scorer category is I think, and he's talked a lot about this, including with me, I don't think he has like a signature shot in the half court. We all know his signature move really is probably his transition freight train left to right spin, which is completely unstoppable. And then the dunks, the tomahawk dunks, and all of that. You know, his signature play, the greatest play of LeBron's career, the play they're going to make a statue of someday, is a defensive play. The chase down block on Andre Iguodala. I don't even have to tell you what play it was. It was a play so spectacular that I was sitting in press row at the finals at Oracle Arena while Game 7 was going on. I leaped out of my seat, ran over 10 seats away to a monitor that was about 15 seconds behind the action because I had to see immediately if he actually blocked that shot or if it hit the backboard first and it was a goaltend. The game was going on. The championship was at stake, and I had to leap from my seat to get clarity on, like, did that guy just do that? That was crazy. And some of his biggest scoring games are known for the feats of other players. Ray Allen shot, Kyrie Irving shot, J.R. Smith forgetting what the score was. But that fadeaway, a few people I interviewed about LeBron recently, including Larry Nance Jr., his teammate in Cleveland, said they would argue that fadeaway is his signature shot. And Larry Nance's favorite memory of LeBron as a scorer, he was on this team, was in 2018 in the second round against the Raptors in Toronto, the poor Raptors, who really thought they had a shot. They really did. Down 1-0 in the most anticipated series at that point, probably in the history of the franchise, getting blown to smithereens in Game 2 on their home floor. Series is over. You lose 2 games at home, you know it's over. And LeBron is just bored with the game, just bored. And he decides in the fourth quarter, I'm just going to have my own personal game of, like, can I make one ridiculous fadeaway turnaround jump shot in the post after another? And he did. He made like 5 or 6 in a row. We're on press row. I was at that game too, like laughing at the guy just clowning the Raptors with one fadeaway jumper after another, laughing at that he's so bored with the entire concept of this team daring to compete against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs. He's just staging his own personal game. So Larry Nance Jr. would argue that's his signature shot. To me, I don't know that it is, because it feels like just his version of other people's signature shots. And again, I think that's one of the reasons why the pure score discourse unfolds the way it is. By the way, I mentioned the J.R. Smith game. That was game 1 of the 2018 finals. 51 points. 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 19 of 32 shooting. For my money, it's the best game LeBron's ever played. It might be the best game I've ever seen anybody play. Steve Kerr told me it's on par with anything Jordan ever did. Andre Iguodala, no less an authority than Andre Iguodala, who of course guarded LeBron in so many big games, but not that one. He was injured. Told me it was a perfect basketball game. It's the best. He said it's the best game a human has ever played. I like that a lot. A number of people told me maybe he's not known as a pure, quote unquote, pure scorer on the level of those other guys anyway, because he's not as crafty. Kyle Korver said this doesn't have the same like arsenal of footwork and arty dribble moves. And Harrison Barnes told me when Kyrie makes a layup, you really see the art of it in a way you don't with LeBron. And that's because he's so big and strong and fast. He kind of doesn't need all the art. Should we fault him for that? The other thing is, most people that size, whatever he is, 6'9" and a freight train, they can't dribble like him. They can't dribble like really all that well at all. Like, they can dribble, but they can't run an offense. That's always been the secret sauce of Durant, as much as the jump shot, the handle for a 7-footer. LeBron is a linebacker playing basketball, and most linebackers playing basketball don't have anywhere near the craft and guile and skill level that he does. But anyway, the mid-range jump shot, that was, of course, LeBron's fatal flaw early in his career. The 2007 Spurs embarrassed him in the finals when he and the Cavs just weren't ready and just let him shoot, swept him. He didn't get back to the finals till 2011 with the Heat, when they were really just hated. Boy, was it fun to that Heat team. That Heat team made the NBA so much fun. Everyone was rooting against them. And he melted down in the finals, just melted down. There's no way around it. Like, if you can never think LeBron's better than Jordan, That series is why. And he came out of that series determined to build himself into the most well-rounded scorer that maybe the game has ever seen. He worked with David Fizdale and Eric Spoelstra and all the Heat staff on becoming an elite post-up player. And to hear Andre Iguodala talk about guarding LeBron in the post, I wish you guys have heard this conversation. I wish I had it in person. I wish I had it in person on a court with him, because he was talking about what a chess match it was to go against LeBron in the post, how he had all these little tricks that unless you're right there, zoomed in, you don't even see. Little ways of like knocking your arm away, hitting you in the leg, shifting his weight to just get you a little bit off balance. Little things that Andre said kind of verge sometimes on flopping just to create contact. He said it was a chess match unlike any other he's ever been in. And of course, if you rewatch that finals against the Thunder, LeBron's first title with the Heat, he beat them from the post. He destroyed them from the post. He became an incredible screener in the pick and roll, which is something he never really did in Cleveland and something he did for Dwayne Wade. If you ask Eric Spoelstra, he calls that a sacrifice. LeBron sacrificed because most great players, they just are comfortable with the ball in their hands at the top of the arc. LeBron was a shaky shooter at that time. Dwayne Wade was a shaky shooter at that time. They both live in the paint. They had to find some way to cooperate together in a two-man game that was that they were both kind of on the ball. And that was the way. And he became maybe the most devastating roller in the league. Andre Iguodala again told me, Zach, you don't understand, man. LeBron became such a good screen setter. He knew exactly how to set screens. The angle, the physicality, the re-screen, that you had to switch. You had to switch. And switching a small guy into LeBron is not an option. We had to change our whole defense just to account for LeBron as a screener. He became a great cutter in Miami. And when I showed him a clip of him, I interviewed LeBron at Barclays Center last week. When I showed him a clip of him cutting in game 1 of the 2018 finals of J.R. Smith game, he cut down the slot for a dunk. He lit up like a Christmas tree. I couldn't believe how excited he was. He went on like a 90-second monologue about a play that the Cavs ran with Mo Williams and Zydrunas Ilgauskas on one side and LeBron taking an off-ball screen from Anderson Varejao on the other side at the same time to cut in for dunks. And that's how he really learned to be a cutter. He talked about his high school coach, Keith Jambro, teaching him how to cut. He talked about Dwayne Wade. He lit up. And I think his ability to score in all of those different ways, this is my theory at least, almost made it hard for us to process that he was in front of us, maybe the all-time greatest scorer ever, because he could do so much of everything that you didn't see one thing over and over and over again that you thought, well, that's how LeBron scores. Even his greatest scoring games, like if you rewatch game 6 of the 2013 finals against San Antonio, that's the Ray Allen game. It's an incredible LeBron scoring game, and it kind of sneaks up on you. He had 16 points in the fourth quarter of that game. He scored in 7 baskets, I think, in 7 different ways. And you kind of like, wow, he had 16 points. That's a lot of points. And the other thing is his best skill has always been passing. And I guess in some ways that makes it hard to process that he's an all-time great scorer. To me, those things interact. These skills are not separate things. They amplify each other. They lift each other up. His passing helped him become the best scorer volume-wise in the history of the NBA. Because when you know, no matter what help scheme we send to him, he is going to pick it apart. Think about what that does to your defense. Think about the uncertainty that it inflicts on you. Harrison Barnes told me our golden rule with the Warriors was we got to show him bodies. So when LeBron gets the ball to triple threat, he's got to see layers of defense behind him. So he knows the rim's blocked off. He's got to find another solution. But the sub-golden rule was those bodies, they can't be aligned the same way 2 possessions in a row. 2 possessions in a row. It's a no-go because if he's seen it once, he'll have it figured out. Think about what that does to your defense because of his passing. Think about how that makes it easier for him to score because you're worried about all the other stuff he might do with the ball. Anyway, back to last night's shot, the fadeaway over Kenrich Williams. LeBron told me the biggest shot of his career, the one he's proudest of, is not a buzzer beater. It's not some crazy dramatic shot. It's the simple 19-foot pull-up two on the pick and roll he hit with about 30 seconds left in Game 7 of the 2013 finals against the Spurs to put Miami up 4. Too early in the game to say he clinched it for him, but up 4 with like 26 seconds or whatever it was left. It's now a free throw contest where if you take care of your free throws, you win. And it's a very simple shot. Rewatch it. It looks like it could happen like with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Oh, you went under a screen. I got room. I'm going to shoot. It's the proudest shot of his career because it's the shot that teams made him take for so long. It's a shot that he even told me in the middle of that finals, he began to grow discouraged. That's the word he used, discouraged with his jump shot because the Spurs were giving it to him. And in his view, he wasn't punishing them enough. He was discouraged. Eric Spoelstra's told me that's the shot he had to conquer. It's a shot they gave him, and it's a shot he had to conquer to become a champion, and now he's a 4-time champion. And the last thing I'll say is Matt Moore, my friend and colleague over the years, he's at the Action Network now, tweeted last night something to young fans, and we're old now, young fans. You will understand someday the profundity of watching a player's entire career from start to finish in like an invested, maybe professional, maybe not professional way. And holy cow, did that tweet speak to me, because my entire career covering basketball has been LeBron. I mean, it's a totally asymmetrical relationship. But LeBron barely knows who I am. I have thought and watched and seen all the highs and lows, the Comic Sans letter, the decision, the Heatles introduction, the meltdown in Dallas, the triumphs the following years, the Cleveland thing in Game 7, coming back against the Warriors. I've seen all of it. I've thought about how much he's changed the game, how the game has changed around him during his career. And to be there last night after being there or thinking about so many other moments was a really awesome experience. So congratulations to LeBron James, the all-time leading scorer in the history of the NBA. Congratulations to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who handed off the baton.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.